up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Soft Dump in the Corner podcast, presented to you by North 6 Sports. Let's get ready for a big one, folks. We're in for one, and let's get right into it. Welcome back, co-host Jordo here, Luke Pendlebury, as always, fellow co-host. How are we today, buddy? Big news in the day. Let's keep it together for a few seconds before we get into it. Let's stay happy and energetic like this wonderful weather that's blown into the central Ontario skies lately. Beautiful day here, minus the rain. I come home, I can finally see over my snowbanks because it's been about a month since I've been able to do so. Man,
fucking
what is
crazy.
up? What's going on? How is it over there in G-ville, G-town, the G?
Sir. Things are good, man. It's same kind of thing as I'm not a big fan of the rain, and I'm sure a lot of people aren't, but just knock down this snow because I am ready for the warm weather to come through, and I just want to get golfing, man. I've been on the indoor sims every week with a few buddies, and I just got that itch to go out and play. But when spring comes, that means NHL playoffs are around the corner, so we'll get into it, but I am so excited to talk hockey today.
Yeah, let's save the playoffs talk until we get to that. But folks, we're in for a big one here today. We got a lot to talk about. We made the joke that it could be 3 hours. I'm sorry. We made the joke it could be 3 hour episode today, but I promise it won't be. I also look white as a ghost, and I need to figure out that lighting, but we'll get there. So hey. Lots to talk
cold
about.
Plunges.
Yeah, lots of cold plunging, right? Big week, man. So we're into trade deadline week. We are call it a little over 48 hours away. I believe at this point, close to. There is a lot going on in the NHL right now. Let's talk about just a few things going on right now in terms of the trades, what's been going on. I know you've got a big input on this one. You're obviously very excited about what just happened recently. Tell me about what's going on in your opinion with a lot of these trades. Why don't you just kind of take it away with the trades that have happened, just in case people have kind of tuned in on that one, what's going on. And then we'll kind of talk about trade deadline, just get right into the swing of things. Remind me too, we would like to just finalize the Four Nations because we didn't really go over the final of that one there. But talk to me about trade deadline here.
Yeah, it's today was a big one. There has been some rumors swirling around from the guys at TSN about Yanni Gourde being on the move and Tampa being one of the suitors to acquire him and bring him back. He was a big piece of the Lightning's depth when they won 2020 and the 2021 Stanley Cup. So it came out officially about 2-3 hours ago that Yanni Gourde and Oliver Bjorkstrand are going to Tampa Bay. There is some salary retention from Seattle, a couple first-round picks. Mike Eyssimont are going back to Seattle, and Detroit's in there, and I believe they're retaining 25% on Gourde and a prospect going Tampa's way as well. I couldn't be more excited as a Lightning fan to bring back Yanni Gourde. If you ask me, something that the Lightning are looking for getting down to the stretch in the playoffs is depth scoring and just a bottom six kind of player. Yanni's going to be in that mid-range, but being able to have that additional scoring and that grit, the dog he brings in the playoffs, I'm fired up to know that Yanni Gourde's going to be with the boys in the playoffs. So I'm excited. And I can't wait to see the games moving forward with Yanni back with the boys.
I love Gordy, man. Gordy. Wicked fit. I think I said to you earlier, I know Cooper loves that guy. When he was there, he talked about him a lot. When Cooper likes a guy, he'll tell you. And generally speaking, if you listen to his interviews, he doesn't normally go out of his way to recognize, he will, but like Kucherov and Point and whatever. If you listen to Cooper talk, he'll tell you the guys that he loves having on his team. Of course, Kucherov and Point are there. I'm just simply saying, he was one of those guys during that cup run I know he spoke very highly of. McDonough was another guy that he spoke very highly of. Ironic. They're both back now in Tampa. Weird how that works.
Yes,
Clearly, people were talking. Clearly, management and or ownership and or team, whatever it might be.
yeah.
I'd like to think they came together and they said, "Listen, man, listen, guys, these are the guys we need to bring back. Look at what happened, the chemistry, etc. Don't break, don't fix what's not broken, I guess, right?" So yeah, that's a pretty cool acquisition again for them. Could theoretically be a rental for them. We'll see. With
Yeah.
the increase to the salary cap next year, everyone is kind of counting their chips a little bit differently now. So awesome trade. I love Bjorkstrand. That's a
Yeah.
sneaky pickup for them. We'll talk
Yep.
about the price, in a second, but Bjorkstrand as a whole adds a whole different element. Big body, right-handed shot as well. Don't forget, can
Mm-hmm.
certainly play in your top six, which is a big thing for them. They are
Yeah.
stacked again in their top six. I would argue you're probably adding two top six, easy top nine guys for Tampa, which bolsters their lineup, bolsters their depth, as you pointed out, which is huge for them. The way that Vasilevsky's playing, and then the way that Hedman's playing right now. Which, by the way, no, he's not getting any recognition for Norris. Zero
Zero.
silch, nada.
Zero.
Guy is I was a workhorse. It bugs me personally that nobody talks about him. If he was putting up, probably, or if he had put up, call it, the same number of points that those guys were talking about, I don't even think it would be close because he actually dominates in the defensive zone too. There's a lot of guys that can
Yeah,
play really strong
exactly.
defensively, but I would argue
Yeah.
Makar and Hughes, so probably those two guys you think of, they don't have that same caliber of defensive play. Makar being closer, I would argue, but certainly Hedman,
Yeah,
man,
McCarthy
holy.
got it.
Hedman is playing so damn good this year, and then Vasilevsky looks back to close enough to where he's playing. He can always bring it to the next step too. So look out for Tampa, man. That was a big trade. I do think they gave up a lot, personally,
They did.
when you look at that. But as we've pointed out before, Barton Goodrow trade to bring in, who was the other trade they brought in? The guy when they won.
Blake Coleman.
Coleman, correct, when they won that cup. So everyone said, hey, you gave up a lot for those guys, but 2 out of 3 years.
And Hagel. They
And
gave two
Hagel.
first for Hagel, and look at that.
Hagel's certainly a little bit different because I think they knew they were going to be able to get him
Younger.
longer term too.
Yeah, for sure.
Which was they had control over that player's contract regardless.
Yeah.
So that was ultimately as well. But point being, right, is when you look at it as a whole, if you win, everything is worth it. Right? Last year,
Yep.
everybody would be speaking so different if the Oilers had won last year. Everyone speaks differently of the Panthers because they won last year. Can you imagine the Panthers if they went to the Cup final back to back and lost? They would probably.
Yeah.
They may have. I shouldn't say they probably. They may have blown that team up.
No.
Back to back
watched the
Stanley
game
Cup losses. Go ahead.
on Monday. Tampa and Florida played. I definitely had to sit down and watch that game because Tampa being on a heater and obviously Florida being Florida, and Seth Jones was inserted in the lineup for Florida as well. Seth Jones looked good, and
Such
he
good
is a
hockey.
huge piece of that back end, and it's scary
Their
for
back end's
whoever's got them in the playoffs.
disgusting. Florida's back end
I
is
know.
so gross.
So tight game. Tampa didn't really play well in the first two periods. Played a very good third, but just came up just short. But I mean, I would always love a battle of Florida, but I'd be nervous even on how good Tampa's playing now. It's like Florida's a really good team now, and it's scary. So I don't know. I think whoever wins the Atlantic might benefit from it for the first time in a while. Usually, doesn't even matter where you place now in this new format. You're gonna get fucked over anyway.
Yeah, I do believe that Kachuk injury is going to hurt them a lot, though. Mainly just because it's a groin injury. It's one of those ones that it's going to linger for a very long time, and he's not going to be able to necessarily skate. Arguably for the next couple of months, the same way in practice, get up to game speed, all that jazz until game one, presumably. Everybody knows they'll be there for game one. They'll be able to use
probably
that $10 million somewhere. So you never know what's going into Florida. Who is going into Florida?
Oh, they got Vinacek today too as a backup.
There you
Florida
go.
got,
right. So they get rid of Spencer Knight and they turn that into Seth Jones and Vanacek essentially.
Dude, how good did Spencer Knight look in Chicago?
100%. So, and again, that could be adrenaline. That could just be the game. But hey, maybe they've got their guy. Another kid, high draft pick, high quality. playing behind Bobrovsky obviously is not necessarily an easy way to get your playing time, but I
Yeah.
think if you do know the background with him, has had some history with you know personal issues, if you will. So
Yeah.
that's been difficult for him. So awesome to see him get a second start, a secondary chance, excuse me,
Yeah.
with Chicago, as you pointed out, where they won a 5-1. I watched the highlights. He made some really big saves. Hopefully, it works out for him. That could be a team you want to see Chicago be good. I hate watching Chicago be shit.
I
It's
know.
tough for a fan, and it's
Chris
tough
Hockey.
for the league, man. Top's original six team. You need Chicago, man. You need Chicago. You need the Leafs. You need the Rangers, the Bruins. Like original six, Montreal are they drive the league. Um, we ventured onto that particular conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed that. But let's just reel back in a little bit, back to the trade deadline. I want to ask you, like, when you look at these players in particular, comparing to other years, is kind of what I'm getting at here. Is this one of the worst trade deadlines we've seen in a while? Or because of the cap situation next season, moving forward, etc., are we looking at this possibly the same way we looked at the Four Nations face-off as a could this be a dud of a trade deadline season? The top names, no offense, but Brock Nelson of the worlds, they're not like necessarily game changers. They're not guys you're going out and saying, "Oh boy, if he goes to my team, I'm buying a jersey." Boy, if he goes to
Yeah.
my team, I'm going to that game. I got to see this guy live, right? Like you're not
Yeah.
sparking conversation on so what's your thoughts? Like
Yeah.
we're seeing some of these trades and we're seeing some of these big name players get moved. I think personally, maybe yes, the players that are available as rentals may be not as good as previous years. I would be curious to see if we get some sneaky trades in the next couple of days here.
Yeah, and I think you make good points about the Four Nations tournament. This is an opportunity to GMs to see like superstars play with their superstars, and if there's any of these superstars that are actually on the market, which rarely you'll see it, but it's just like example, like if Crosby ever decided to move, he played very well with Nate. He's obviously close. They grew up in the same area. They train every summer together. So
I'd be
he's
willing to bet Crosby would be pretty good with just about any team, to be honest
yeah.
with you.
No, I know. That's fair. But just those examples, and even make a good point about the salary cap going up. This is an opportunity where it's like, if you're all in, you're all in. And I would attempt as a GM, if you're a contender, to just give everything you got to bring in the best players possible for your team. And you look at the list, like you said, like yeah, Brock Nelson doesn't jump out at me. Like maybe someone like Brock Besser maybe needs a fresh start somewhere and he has an opportunity because he can potentially score you 30, 40 goals. He just, I don't know. I think something's going on in Vancouver. Pedersen's not playing very well. Hughes is injured. That the whole organization, I don't know what's going on, but I think Besser needs a fresh start somewhere. Where that would be, I don't know. But I think yeah, a lot of these players on the list. Braden Shen would be cool to see somewhere. I mean, I think Toronto would be a good place for him. It's just I don't know how much you're going to give up, and teams know Toronto's desperate to make a good move, so they're just going to hold them accountable and probably overpay for whoever they get on this top 10. Even someone like Scott Lawton would be a good fit for Toronto as well. But again, I think teams just know the desperation and kind of going to hold them accountable, and you're going to see some overpayment here, especially for contenders, because these teams know that these players have more valuable going to somewhere that could potentially win a cup.
Yeah, I think it's tough for sure because GMs are in a sticky situation too. Because sometimes you got to think about it in the perspective of if they don't make the move, they're running the risk of losing their job. So
Well,
you look
true.
at too, and a great example that I like to actually use. This is a perfect example. Is fuck. This is even for those maybe that are listening right now. I have a Toronto Blue Jays jersey behind me. So let's date back 2015, 2016, roughly when the big era was going on. Bautista was hitting the walk off. Not
Donaldson
the
and
walk off, but the home run. And
yep,
then Encarnacion's hitting walk off, like that era of Blue Jays. that was all bringing in
AA,
Alex Anthopoulos is where I'm going with this. So he
AA,
brought in Troy Tulowitzki. He brought in
David
David
Price.
Price. Like he brought in Josh Donaldson as well, I believe, if I'm correct, a couple of years prior. I believe it was him that
Yep,
brought it in.
from
So
Oakland. He comes
let's
from
just kind
Oakland.
of look at it this perspective. So now my point being here now is in today's day and age, today's NHL day and age, excuse me, not sports in general, hockey is very short window focused. It is very much win now. Today, it used to be we'll do a rebuild or we'll get the couple years with these younger kids and we'll play it in. It's shown more than ever that today's gap between superstar players and or veterans and or you name it and just kids coming into the league, it's not as big of a gap as it used to be, largely because you used to have six grown ass ogres ready to fight that were sitting on the bench taking up the spots, not those popular skilled players that were going off, right? So where I'm venturing into this conversation was today's day and age, the NHL GMs have a lot of pressure, of course, but they're still trying to set themselves up. If I make these moves, I still got to be able to get a job down the road too. So maybe
Yeah,
this is my chance because there really hasn't been such a drastic increase in salary cap before. You
yeah,
wonder if this is maybe GMs taking that look and saying, this could be my chance to make the splash. This could be my chance to be Alex Anthopoulos, who goes out and makes all these trades, blah, 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 blah. Toronto looks
yeah,
at him and goes, you know what? I don't really think that you're that good of a GM. We appreciate what you did. Thank you for your time. He walks away, goes and signed with the Braves. You look at what he's done there. He's a World Series champion, and he's created a contender every single year. My point being, there's a lot of good GMs in the NHL as well.
yep.
This could be a crazy trade deadline because
It
we
really
don't know
could.
what to expect. There could be a lot of
Yep,
hockey trades. So
yep.
that's kind of neat to look at in that perspective. Like you pointed out, some of the players aren't sexy for the rentals. I really would like to see players, like the Dylan Cousins of the world, for instance, that are out
Oh
there that are
man,
trade shipping. Maybe there's players out there, dude, that we are not even considering.
I
Those
know.
are the best trades that
It's
come
like
out of
Luka
nowhere.
Doncic.
The
No
Luca
one knew.
for AD trade,
Yeah, like what the fuck?
Taylor Hall for Adam Larson,
1 for 1,
PK for
baby.
Shea Weber. What was that? 24 minutes after each other too. Just
Yeah,
rough
and then
those
Stammer signing
Stammer
8 years.
signing. Oh my god, man! Like those are the stuff. I mean, Stammer was different. We knew he was gotta make a
Yeah,
decision. We love those types of trades. So I'm really hoping it happens that way. But we're gonna see 2 days away. We're gonna bring reactions and stuff kind of as we proceed afterwards. But I don't want to waste time on this particular episode going in too much into the deadline just because it's not
yeah,
overly sexy. We right now are just more focused on what the trades kind of might happen to be. There's always going to be some really key additions on the trades, the deadline signings, excuse me, deadline trades, for fuck's sakes, that we'll talk about. Anything else you want to add in on that?
No, not really. I'm just interested to kind of see what happens, and you make obviously good points about yeah, like hopefully there's some moves out of the blue, and it makes for a good conversation. Like it sparks like social media just explodes, and like I think we brought this up last episode or the one before, where the NBA had that like 2 day stretch of like Luca being traded, Jimmy Butler being traded, De'Aaron Fox being traded, and like it just covered the social media feeds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not really what GMs want. They want to make sure they put the best capable team together to win a championship. But for like our sake and analysts and like just fans of the sport, it makes a huge deal. Like it generates conversation and potentially generates more revenue for your team. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
hopefully NHL can. Hopefully something happens. I'm ready. Miko Rantanen, just he doesn't
So
fit in there. He doesn't fit in Carolina. Just trade him. I'm ready.
a lot of people don't understand too. Like
Something's up there, man.
technically speaking, like he can be traded back to Colorado. So
Yeah.
what people need to realize if you kind of dive into the rule book of the NHL, you can't trade a player to a team and in the same season reacquire him via a trade. You cannot do that.
Right.
Because it was a three-way trade, the reason why he can go back to Colorado was because Mikko Rantanen was never traded to Carolina. He was
Yeah.
traded to Chicago.
Yep.
Chicago traded him to Carolina. So technically
Right.
speaking, he can be reacquired by Colorado, which would be pretty wild to say the least. It would be quite the package that they would have to put together. But like I said, maybe we'll chat that next conversation
Yeah.
onto the next
Yeah.
pod because that would be quite the story. Moving on, I did want to just briefly finalize the Four Nations recap. Obviously, we left off with our predictions. You had said 2-1 overtime. I had said 4-3 overtime. We were kind of going back and forth. I believe you and I, even on the phone chatting that day, both actually said, you know what,
Yep.
I'm probably thinking 3-2 now. We met in the middle,
Yeah.
and regardless of which.
And
So
there you go.
kudos,
3-2.
Canada, big win for the boys. Let's go. Love that. Awesome game, man.
I know.
What good hockey. First time in a long time where I've just been sitting there like, I'm so like,
Oh
this
yeah.
is
Heart's like
wicked hockey.
160 beats a minute.
For sure, for sure. Definitely since for Stanley Cup playoffs, in my sense that it's felt like that, which is super rare for me being an Oilers fan. But yeah, wow. Kudos to the boys in that sense. I love that McDavid was the one that scored the game winner. Obviously, bias aside, I think it's really great because I think having a player like that with such name, household, star status, etc., to do that, it felt ironic that it seemingly was like Crosby passing the torch from his 2011, 2012 Olympic.
2010.
Yeah, same year.
Figured out.
Passing that game winner to McDavid, right? Which felt kind of special. It also is nice too now because Canadians have even more or even less hatred toward McDavid and the Oilers. So
Yep.
thanks for that. Your 2 cents
Nope.
on that because we're obviously
Yep.
a little late on getting that personally out, but I just wanted to say on a
Yeah.
whole, what a great game. I'm so excited for the Olympics. We're tied 1-1 basically as far as I see it heading to the Olympics, and we got a year to wait and get ready for that. So
Yeah.
much more to come on that, but your
Yeah. No.
sense on that.
Yeah. I was, like you said, best hockey I've seen in a long time, and I know for you as an Oilers fan, being in the Stanley Cup Finals, know the feeling. It's nerve wracking, man, and especially when it goes to Game 7, where anyone can win the game. So it just felt like that kind of moment for your own sports team to be playing in a game to win it all. And like you said, it was great to see McDavid finish it off in OT, and it's cool even from like my hometown in Newmarket. That's where Connor's from, and they changed one of the McDonald's to McDavid's. I know
Saw
they
that.
did that in Edmonton too. So just like small things like that, like it means such a big deal, especially for our hometown. And back when it was Game 7, downtown Newmarket, there was probably thousands of people. They had a massive blow up screen there, and they had everyone watching because they were all cheering for Connor and hoping the Oilers win. And just like moments like that, I really appreciate, and it's really cool. So I know he's going to get one eventually, but you learn from losing, and
Is
you're
he
going to come
though?
back stronger. Hmm?
Is he though?
He'll win.
You sure about that?
I'm
Are
sure. Hey,
you
Ovi
sure
took like
about
12 fucking
that?
years. It's going to happen.
We'll see. I
Hopefully not 12, but
you and I both would like for that to happen. Absolutely. Yeah, really cool. I agree with all that. That it's pretty funny to see. But um, moving on from 1-4 to another 4, let's play a game, folks. It's game time. I wish I had some queued up Wheel of Fortune type shit, but I don't. Let's do a little fun one here. So I saw where did I see somewhere? I think it was in a TNT or something like that. It named. Can you name the 4 active? The stat line read. Can you name the 4 active? Emphasis on active for those that are listening. Can you name the 4 active players who are 100% locks to make the Hockey Hall of Fame? Can
I
you
have
can
I
you
have
name the
7.
4?
I have
Okay,
7 that, in my
so
opinion, but I'll go with the
I
4 that I.
sorry, just real quick. I think they named 4 just because I want to say like if you did the vote whatever type thing that the most 4 commonly.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
was going to say I can certainly name a few more as well that I believe are
Yep.
active. But yeah, please go ahead.
So the 4 that I think that are a lock, the first 4 I thought of, and I feel like it's got to be very similar to everyone else. Uh, Crosby, Ovechkin, Malkin, and Kane.
Love it. Yeah. So those were the four that I had seen
Yep.
particularly. I think I saw it online actually. Now that I say that, so I don't know how credible the stat was. I think that was maybe more opinionated, but yes, I had the
Yep.
same four from that particular list. Very similar to the players that I had as well.
Yep.
Who were the others that you have? And I'm going to let
So
you go, and then I'm going to name a few. I'm sure I'll probably cross a few off, but
yep.
let's stick particularly for right now with active.
Okay. Yeah. Active. Yep. For me, you got to look at the individual player and what they've accomplished in the NHL. And at this point in time, like I have the guy behind me. I got Stamkos. I think he's done enough. He's got multiple cup winners. He's won multiple Rocket Richards. Kind of an
Did
overview of kind of
did Stammer win Rookie of the Year too? Did he get Calder?
no, no, he lost to Steve Mason. Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyways,
Okay, I completely forgot about that. Was Steve
and I'm gonna
Mason on the
continue.
Blue Jackets that year?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
wow.
Philly, maybe Philly.
Philly?
No, I don't know.
Keep going. I'm gonna look that up. Keep going.
Next player, this is like sounds shitty because it's biased, but I still think Nikita Kucherov has done enough to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
He's won the Hart, multiple Art Rosses, 2 Stanley Cups. I don't see why he wouldn't be in there at this point in time. He's done a lot more than a lot of these players in the NHL. And then my last one is McDavid. McDavid's won everything under the sun other than a Stanley Cup, so I don't see why he wouldn't be in there either. Yeah, I'm literally guaranteeing those 3 will be in there at some point. But those 4 I named originally, like you said,
So
that
just
there's a
do
lot.
that recap again on the other that you think. Just
Connor McDavid, Steven Stamkos, Nikita Kucherov.
nice. Okay, so I actually didn't even have either of those 3.
Really?
I didn't not think of them. I just kind of put it into a different perspective. So
Okay.
first and foremost, who I think is an absolute lock, Marc-Andre Fleury. Absolute,
Yeah,
absolute
100%.
lock. Absolute lock. No, you're not
100%.
an idiot. You're not an idiot. Because I think maybe you looked at it from a different perspective. I was looking at it from like longevity, cup wins. So cup wins for sure. Longevity for 2 was my kind of secondary. And then I did kind of focus more on statistics. But yeah, Fleury for sure. I mean, he was 2.
Yeah.
Did he get 2?
Didn't he get all 3?
I can fact check. Can you get
Probably
that one for me? So I fact checked you. Steve Mason was a Blue Jacket when he won the Calder Trophy.
Okay.
Again, coming in hot with the random stats. I know. I need to know that one though. But Marc-Andre Fleury was mine. I think he does have 3. I thought maybe 2 for sure. But Fleury absolutely has to be in there. My second one, which is ironic.
Yeah, he's got
3. It is 3 cups. Love that. Okay, perfect. So Marc-Andre Fleury, I believe, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Second one, which I think you're actually going to be shocked by this one as well, and I think he is also a lock for the Hockey Hall of Fame, Jonathan Quick. Jonathan Quick, guaranteed. He is a 2-time Hall. He's a 2-time. Whoa! I just sunk my chair. there. Whoa!
Yeah.
What happened there?
No, he's won 2 cups. Yeah, he had a
won 2
good run
cups.
with the
Really
Kings.
good run with the Kings. He's longevity. He's won a lot of games. He's up there in the list. Jonathan Quick, I think, has got to be up there. And then I had Brad Marchand, but I put him as a question mark. Because I wasn't entirely sure. Now, let me say, I thought this through maybe 10, 15 minutes. I could probably come up with quite a few, I really believe. But I thought that was a question mark, too, because he's got 2 cups.
I don't know.
Got 2 cups. Anyways, the other one that I put as a question mark, because I wasn't entirely sure if he is actually active, was Jonathan Toews.
Marchand only has 1 cup, I think.
I thought he won in 2011
or 2012.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so it is.
He's got 1. A couple finals appearances, though. I think he's got 3.
You are right. So the other one with the question mark that I had was Jonathan Toews, because I believe he will he will be a Hall of Famer as well.
Yeah, I
Anybody
agree.
else that sparked for yourself in particular there?
Like anyone else that I could see going to the
Yeah,
Hall of
you could
Fame?
probably sit there and name. I think Vasi gets there one day. I do.
McKinnon,
Realistically, McKinnon probably. Yeah, I agree.
Makar.
I agree. He's probably going to
Yep.
have 4 or 5 Norrises. He may,
Yep.
very well come close to a
What
thousand plus
about
points
this?
too.
This is just a question mark. What about someone like Eric Carlson?
I just look at some of the guys that haven't gotten in with the statistical
That
numbers
are
that have
better? Yeah.
been maybe not so much
Yep.
as better, but I just think Eric Carlson
Mm,
is a forefront in the superstar status level that we've watched for the last, call it 10 plus years. Absolutely. There's a lot of really good players that aren't in the Hall of Fame that during their era,
yeah.
and one will, everyone knows when he played here in Toronto, Alexander McGillney. You go
He
watch
should be.
that guy's highlight reel, and you're telling me he ain't a Hall of Famer? Come
He
on,
should be.
come on. So
Something
absolutely not discrediting.
something political
Yeah,
is behind
yeah,
that.
but you also look at too, and I think I'm right on this, but can you fact check this one? Can you Alexander McGillney Stanley Cups? Is it zero?
I don't think he's won, but I'll check.
Is it zero? Because then you can also sit here and say Eric Carlson Cups. I know that's zero.
Yep.
So are we talking right? Are we talking as a Stanley Cup a difference maker to the Hall of Fame? If you're asking me, it absolutely is.
McGillney has one cup.
Oh, he does have a
90,
cup.
he won in 2000 with the Devils.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So
He
even
should
more of
be
a
in.
piss off. That guy's got. He'll
Yep.
get it. I believe he'll get it. But
Yep.
that's a really interesting one to talk. Eric Carlson. That's a. I think he will personally because he's probably going to play another. Well, what was his contract? He's got to play roughly another 4 or 5 seasons after this, wouldn't you think?
Eric Carlson?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, he's 34 years old. So, yeah,
but
3 or
he
4 more
hasn't
years, maybe.
necessarily lost a step in his skating, right? So that's what you're
No.
finding a lot of these days is you're seeing a lot more guys than ever before
Mm-hmm.
get into their later years of hockey because they're focusing on wanting to be playing later into their careers. And if you can skate, you're gonna play. There's a lot of guys that were older that still play, right?
Yep.
Um,
100%.
weirdly enough, you can look at a guy like Corey Perry, and he's still playing. And I'll tell you one thing: I sometimes watch him playing out there, and not offense to his game, but I feel like I could run faster than he is
Yeah, he's
skating out
got
there.
cement in his boot.
And he's on pace for 20 rips this year, actually. So that says a
Wow.
lot about the Oilers. Anyway, so that's a fun little game. I like that one. I always kind of like to think of who could very well, jump into that status, but
Yeah.
you definitely have a few within Tampa. You have to think, and a few of the other guys in that. But interesting. Matthews, future Hall of Famer? Question mark. Marner? Question mark. Jack Campbell? Question mark. Just kidding. I don't know why that one came to mind, but everyone needs a good laugh on a Wednesday evening or whatever date that you're happening to listen to this one too. Let's proceed here on to something that really bugged me the other day, and that wasn't another Oilers loss for all those that are out there. That's a good joke on my behalf. It was just a comment that I heard. I can't specifically remember the player that said it. I want to say it was a player on the Leafs. That's probably why it rattled me. But it was something along the lines of like, we've really. I'm prefacing or like kind of whatever shortening this down to we really want to win. Like obviously we want to win. We're trying hard out there. Obviously things aren't going our way. Blah 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 blah. But the guys are really wanting to win. In the back of my mind, I was like, okay, yeah, absolutely the right attitude to have in that particular moment, right thing to say in that particular moment. But I thought to myself, doesn't every player want to win? Doesn't every team, organization, owner, fucking fan, I don't care, Bob under the bridge, doesn't everybody just want their team to win or just to win in life? Everybody
Yep.
wants to win. Everybody sits there, dreams of it, thinks of it all the time, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's very few players that actually want to do it. right? So you
Yeah.
look at like the off season and the diet, the dedication, the anything for the team mentality. There's so many factors that come into how much you demonstrate, how much you want to win. I
Hmm.
think that there's more than ever players that don't want to win. And I say it softly because I'm not trying to piss people off, but I think there's a reason why I can sit here and I always harp on the same people doing the same things, getting the same results. And I know I sound like a dickhead sometimes, and I just feel like I wish that I could just simply use my anger to help fix their problems doing so. Point being is like, what do we do about, or what do you think you can focus on moving forward when it comes to that mentality, just to get everyone to buy? Not everyone has a Sidney Crosby on their team. Not everybody
Yeah.
has a Nate McKinnon to fall onto. You name the list of the best leaders in the NHL, and
Yeah.
more often than not, those best leaders are on winning teams. And if they're
Yep.
not, they get traded at the deadline to those teams.
Yep.
Talked about that. Like, what do you think about me saying that? Not just in general, but just like as a whole. Do you think that way? What do you feel like about that? Like, do you really think that players are truly putting in the everything it takes mentality, or are we seeing a lot of guys use the off season as an off season, and during the games, it's once the game's on, I'm into it, but
Yep.
the other however many minutes in the week that you're not, what are you doing?
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes into this, and this makes you come from an all-star to a superstar, and not just because these guys are producing at a high level, but these guys make big plays in big games, and they strive off season or out of the game, and just pushing their body to the limit to be the best. And you can see that from all sports: Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, just guys that, like you said, just want to win. They just want to win as many as they can. And
And super quick, hold that.
yeah.
And how many championships did those guys win?
Oh,
Hands up
tons,
accountability here. Those are
tons.
bad examples because they are the best of the best.
Yeah.
Your example perfectly stated. You look at those three guys, they got like what, 15 plus championships amongst
Oh,
those
between
guys.
those guys.
And they're the ones
Oh
that
yeah.
work the hardest.
Yeah, and
Maybe not 15.
it's more than, like I said, it's more than just the game, the 60 minutes that you play into, and even if you get eliminated from playoffs, yeah, you get pissed off. And I was listening to, I think it was Spin Chicklets, I think it was Alex Killorn, and he was talking about Nikita Kucherov, and he says the minute that these guys get eliminated in playoffs or they lose, Nikita's back on the ice the next day practicing, and they have 3 or 4 months to prepare. And he is working on like small stuff that makes such a big difference. Like he said that like he was working on like grabbing the puck around the corners of the ice, like
Mm-hmm.
behind the nets, just working on small stuff that like when you watch him play, he makes look so easy. Even though like if a pass is coming around the back, a little soft dump in the corner, he can pick that up right off the boards and make a good play. And
Effortlessly.
and you just have to have people like that. If one guy can do it and you can push your team to do it, you're gonna have a team that's motivated to win. And it's hard to see that. And Tampa's been successful. They've been in the 2020s. They've been to 3 Stanley Cup Finals, winning two. And Stamkos is a big reason. Nikita Kucherov being, he might be a pest on the ice and act like an asshole, but like if he's putting in the work and kind of being that role model to show that, guys, this is what it takes to win rings, then you got to do your part and win hockey games. And it's just comes to show. So having someone, yeah, like Crosby, Nate, those guys that can really like push a locker room to its fullest and give everything it's got in the organization, yes, absolutely be great. But just takes a few guys in the room to really like bring out that character and kind of show this is what it takes. So yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even just the other night, don't know if you caught it, Kyrie Irving, basketball player,
Oh,
NBA, driving through the lane.
yep.
It's kind of just jammed his knee, so to speak, when he's going
Yeah.
for a layup, kind of
Hyperextended it. Ugh.
hyperextended it, ACL sprain, incredibly painful. Didn't even get off the floor to go sit on the bench and let someone else take the free throws. Fucking guy got up, hobbled to the line, was in agony and pain as he
Yep.
stood and proceeded to nail both the free throws and then had to get helped off the court.
Mind
I
over
see
matter.
that shit and I am just like, that's why that guy wins. That is why he
Mhm.
has won, right?
Mhm.
You can
Mhm.
argue LeBron's a huge part of that winning team there, but when you look at it, who was the guy that hit the shot that beat the Warriors to
Yeah.
end their
Kyrie.
70 some odd win season or
Yeah.
something? It was Kyrie motherfucking Irving.
Yep.
And that guy was and is still nails. So I love seeing that. That was the example that I wanted to use when this particular
Yeah.
segment here was like, you look at guys like that and you just want to go to war for them, man. So you
Yep.
need guys in your locker room that that can do that stuff, right? So
Mhm.
awesome to see. Fast forward that, or even transition to that into a topic that I kind of wanted to just briefly chat about. We don't have to go too deep into it.
Yeah.
Just as like the goaltending perspective, and I wanted to kind of ask in a nutshell, is like, are you as a whole maybe noticing, and maybe I just focus on this shit because I'm just dumb and want to just think other things, but are you looking at goaltending specifically this year compared to others and just kind of noticing how much quicker, I feel at least, how much quicker goalies are losing confidence this year? Have you
Mhm.
felt that way? Has it seemed that way? Are you noticing those particular ones? I wanted to just kind of very quickly point out two examples that I've noticed within just this week alone that made me kind of focus on this. So about a week ago, Boston was, I think, on the road to Vegas. One or the other. It was tied 3-3 late in the game. I think Eichel is coming down the boards on the right hand side. He dumps the puck in. It wasn't a very fast dump in. Okay, so normally you would think, okay, if I'm playing aggressive, if I'm playing confident as a goalie, I want to get out there and knock that puck down. I want to get
Mhm.
that puck down so I can get possession of that puck and make it transition to my defense a lot smoother, a lot easier. Plus, I'm giving them more
Right.
time. Blah 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 blah. I look at this dump in, and it's just kind of more of a 3/4. Like it's just hard enough to get around, and I'm thinking to myself, why isn't he going out? Why isn't he going out? Why isn't he going out? And he's hugging the post, right? And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, okay, he didn't go out to get that puck, and I think his defenseman was kind of sitting there saying, I'm gonna play as if he's going for it. Long story short, he doesn't get it. They end up making a turnover because they had to force a play in the corner. Boom, 5 seconds later, Vegas scores. Tomas Hertl, I think, scores a goal. A minute, 10 seconds left in the game.
Yeah.
Vegas wins in regulation. And I look at that play and I just think, if I'm a confident goaltender, I'm going out and getting that puck. I'm being able to get control of that play. And I think truthfully, you look at Swayman right now, particularly, is just like deflated, man. Like he is
Yep.
no confidence right now. There's so much
Yep.
shit going on in Boston. There's injuries left, right, and center. McAvoy going out doesn't help either.
Yep.
His whole contract season, everything is just there's so much going on. So his game is out the door this year. Fucking Stuart Skinner too this year too. That drives me up a wall. I wish I was chatting more about the Leafs goalies playing bad, but they're playing fucking as good as you've ever had. They almost have two Vesna candidates this year. So
Mhm.
Skinner too. The other night I'm looking and just the reactionary time, and I was watching this one goal they're playing Philly. Uh, they go for a wraparound, and he just kind of puts his pad down and doesn't even react. And by the time he pushes across the slide across post to post, the puck's already in the net. And even like the team and
Mhm.
the announcers are showing, you're looking like is he even like in this game? Is he focused? Is he playing? Whatever. And obviously, since we've seen this the past week and a bit, how bad the Oilers have been in goaltending. I
Yeah.
digress.
Mhm.
Point, question, focus here. Is it, as an athlete's perspective, even not even just goalies, are we seeing confidence getting deterred, hurt, damaged? Find a noun, adjective.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know that stuff, man. But it
Words are
doesn't
tough, dude.
matter. Words, pick a word for it. Are
Yeah.
players getting less and less confident? And is there a reason?
Well, I think the one big thing you've kind of noticed over the last couple of years is scoring has definitely increased, which is good for viewership and fans. Fans obviously love to see more goals, and that's just going to cost goalies in their stat categories. But like one
Ovi's
thing
okay
that you
with
really
that.
pointed,
Ovi's okay with that.
yeah, Ovi, fucking 11 away, baby. But one thing I really do notice this year too, and I could be wrong, is that I find that the separation from like a superstar goalie versus just like your average or good goalie is like there's not many superstar goalies where you could be like, I want him to rely on a game 7 and
Seriously.
be like, he needs to stop
Seriously.
that puck.
Yeah.
And like to me right now, and the only two goalies that I could be like, these guys I would rely on is Connor Hellebuck and Andre Vasilevsky. I don't even think there's another goalie currently right now that I could be like, I need someone in game 7 to win me this game. I didn't even put Shesterkin in there. I didn't even think Shesterkin's having that great year, and he's now like just fleecing the Rangers for 11 and a half a year. Just Sorokin, I don't know. Sorokin was up there for a long time. You could maybe use other goalies like that are having a good year, but I don't know. Is this a one-off? Is this just like they're having one good year? I don't know. But just looking at goalie stats, like, I don't know. Like, Logan Thompson's having a great year, but I don't know. Is this a one-off? Same with Jacob Markstrom, Anthony Stolars. Like, they're all up there in the top in the stats, but every category is like Hellebuck, Vasilevsky, Connor Hellebuck, Andre Vasilevsky, Connor Hellebuck, Andre Vasilevsky. They're literally 1-2 in almost every category.
Yeah. That Connor Buck guy that you called out there.
Hey,
that Connor Buck guy. Look out for that Connor Buck. You know what though? It's funny though is he proved it yet again that he still hasn't stolen a game when it matters. He didn't steal the game against Canada. I hate to break it to you, but Jordan Binnington stole that one. Hellebuck didn't steal it. And I'm not saying he let in any bad goals or weak goals, but I'm just saying when the big moments, Connor Hellebuck has yet to prove that he can do it.
That's fair. Yeah.
I will also add, I don't want to hear any bullshit about that. It's only been a couple times. That guy's played in big games a lot. Yep. And he's been lit the fuck up. I will say, though, you are absolutely correct. There's a lot of goalies on this list that are investing candidacy. Candidacy? Yeah, great word. Yeah. Words, man. I think we're gonna. Well done. We gotta do episode 38. It's got to do something. It's a word play. It's a play on words. Pun. Google the definition of a pun. Basically, it's play on words. Yep. Anyways, so you look at these attendees here, and I agree. Bobrovsky's 13th in goals against, but he's only got 255. Like, there's a lot of these goalies that have really strong numbers. And I wonder, too, I mean, you're getting a lot more splits than ever before, too. A lot of these big name guys, you're looking at these teams are almost, 60, close to 60 games in. There's only two goalies that have played more than three goalies that have played four goalies. Fuck me, going down the list. There's very few goalies that have played 40-plus games this season. Yeah. So there's a lot of backups that are seeing 20 games this year, which is pretty interesting, too, because you're as a backup, you're going to be like, why would I sign for $1 million now? If I'm playing 20 games, I want $2 million. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that could also factor into, too, your depth players, your depth goalies, blah, 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 blah. I agree, though, wild with the whole situation with goaltending. It's interesting because it's such a – having played it, it's such an interesting position because you're in your own little world. You don't really get to talk to the players, the coaches as much. There's no earpiece in your helmet that you're listening. You're kind of – it's such a mental grind because you're just constantly battling with your thoughts the whole time, and you feel a lot of pressure if you don't make the save at the timely moment. If maybe you don't make a rebound goal where you want it to, and you get really nitpicky, it can be very difficult. And I don't even want to imagine what it would be like when you have such expectation by fans, by media, etc., in the big markets. So it's just weird. I agree. I think our goaltending caliber, I'm not talking Canadian, I'm not talking whatever,
Just
whether it be
overall.
NHL prospects, like, anywhere in the world right now. It just seems like goaltending isn't as good as it has been, and
Hmm.
I don't know if it's a sign of the times. I don't know if it's just simply one of those things where it'll go away, ebbs and flows. I'm interested to see where we go in the next couple of years and how many young goalies make the leap to the next step and
Yeah.
really press like Askarov is, for instance, young player playing big minutes in the AHL. That's what we want to see as a
Yep.
young kid, not playing 2 more years in the O and then going to the East Coast and then coming to, you know what I mean? He's 25, 26 by the time he even gets a chance to play in the NHL, and then it's
Yeah.
very, very questionable at its own right. Anything else you kind of want to add on that particular sense, whether it be goalie, whether it be confidence as a whole? We've seen players lose confidence as well. Look at Elias Pettersson and the Canucks. It's
Mhm.
pretty crazy today's day and age of
Yeah.
how outside factors can influence even the best of the athletes around the world. Because
Yeah.
it's if you're not producing, it can be very hard, to say the least, to deal with
Yeah.
that physically and mentally.
Yeah. Some of the goalies we spoke about, I wrote down kind of what they were last year versus this year, and it
Oh, yeah.
comes to a big surprise. And so Jeremy Swayman last year win loss record was 25-10-8 with a 2.53 goals against average and a .916 save percentage. So decent. I wouldn't say like out unreal, but solid.
Those
This year.
numbers, those numbers, the kind of the, if I were to just sort of, I'm going to play my own little game. I got a one little sentence. I would say can win me games. Those
Mhm.
numbers
Mhm.
can win me games.
So 2025, he's 18-21-6 with a 3.00 goals against average and a .896 save percentage.
I would say missing timely saves.
Yeah.
If you're still a 500 team, close to, if you're a 500 goalie this late in the season, I would be willing to bet that a couple of those games probably could have went either way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you made a big save when you weren't supposed to, or were supposed to, whatever. I think that's kind of what I would look at is you're not making the timely saves for sure.
Yeah. Skinner, 2024, 36-16-5 was his win-loss record with a 2.62 goals against average and a .905 save percentage.
I would say probably bailed out in a lot of your games.
Yep. And then this year, 2015-4 with a 2.87 goals against average and a .897 save percentage.
Yeah, like to me, that's screaming your team's tired of carrying the load,
Yep.
right? Like it's
Yep.
it that it, I bet you instead of Stuart Skinner, you could probably who's the goalie there? Arison, that rookie, Philadelphia is who I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Like they're very similar to Philadelphia. They win games
Yep.
6-5, like 4-3, 5-3. Like they're high scoring games
Yeah.
because they don't have the shutdown ability. Like
Yep.
a large majority of the team. Look what the Ducks just did to the Oilers, 6-2. And I'm
Yeah, I
sitting there
saw
and I'm
that.
like, holy smokes! Like, how does that even happen, right? And then I'm
Yep.
looking and I go, Anaheim's defense is actually solid, very solid. Jackson
Yeah.
Lacombe, this kid looks a stud. Radko Gudas,
Yeah.
tough. Pavel
Cemented.
Mitnyukov, young stud. On the right
Yeah.
side, Jacob Trouba, tough. Brian Dumoulin, cup winner, tough. Drew Hellison can play. I was looking, I was like, they got a sick back end, man. Like they have a really good team, right? So you're looking at them like, there's a lot of players today's day and age that can just compete, right?
Yep.
But anyways, that was just
One
an
more.
interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
So Vasi, last year he was 30, 20, and 2 with a 2.90 goals against average and a .900 save percentage off year. Big time.
Well, to me, what I would say was like you probably left a couple points off the board for your team. Like when you think of,
Yep.
I would like my sentence would be like, missed opportunities on points. Like you look at the WAR statistic, wins above replacement. I bet you his WAR replacement, and they have this in hockey. I bet you his WAR is way higher this year than it is last year. So what's your numbers this year?
2025, he's 29, 16, and 3. So one less win than the whole season last year with a 2.18 goals against average and a .924 save percentage.
Holy fuck.
Just night and day.
I would say just a horse in a stable.
Yeah.
Just a horse in a stable. You've got a runner and you just keep him tamed. You just keep that stallion going.
Yep. Oh yeah. He is. Yeah. I'm fired up.
I love that. I love that. I'm thinking that is that's gonna be enough for tonight's episode. When we start making animal noises and shit, I think that's probably it. That was bad. Do one more for the crowd. Do one more. I love it. Give us some of that. I think that's gonna do it for tonight's episode. Big week, as I said, coming up with the trade deadline here. So I'm hoping that there are some huge trades and/or there's some big news to share as we proceed into the final quarter of the season. North 6 Sports is going to be live at the Buffalo Sabres Edmonton Oilers game this upcoming Monday night. So stay tuned for a couple posts on that. You can see the boys are sitting pretty tight. I think I'll be sitting in McDavid's back pocket for that game there. So that's going to wrap up for tonight, everybody. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Soft Dump in the Corner podcast presented by North 6 Sports. Please feel free to subscribe YouTube, on X, on Instagram at North 6 Sports. Please feel free to send us your comments, requests of topics, anything like that. Tell us we're a couple of good-looking chaps. We always appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great rest of your night. And until next week, we will chat then. Rock on.